Welcome to the 518 Show, coming to you from Open Signal PDX. We're a new arts and variety magazine and performance program. I'm Beverly Frentrist, and I will be your host tonight. Our guest tonight will be Kelly Jensvold, an up-and-coming animator, and we will be presenting her work called Love Boys. I thought it was absolutely darling. I hope you'll like it too. That will be followed by David Kester and his animation work called The Heartland. We'll also take a trip down to the Portland Art Museum. There was an excellent exhibit, African American art, that I'd like to share that with you. We will then travel to the Florida coast to see some interesting sights. I hope you like our segment called Interesting Things from the Internet. I thought it was extremely crucial and interesting that I would bring that to you. I hope that you'll like that. So let's get started, shall we? We'll have a great time. Kelly Jensvold, thank you for coming and welcome to the 518.
Glad to be here.
So you're an animator, and I love that. I'm very much into animation, anime, cartoons, and that kind of thing. How did you get started in this field?
Let's see. I've always wanted to be an animator since I was in elementary school, and I've animated on the computer since 5th grade. I think Saturday Academy was one of the things that started me on my career path. That's an after-school program where you can learn a lot of trades, STEAM trades, and including animation skills.
But you here in Portland?
Yeah, they're in the Portland area.
Oh, okay. How cool is that? I didn't know they had that program here. So, and what are you working on now?
Let's see. I just finished a commercial, animated 2D computer animated commercial for a client. And I just got recruited by a local studio to do 2D computer animation.
Excellent. So, what is the path that you took to get to this point?
Let's see. Well, drawing all the time. Drawing, always having a sketchbook, and being known as the person that always has a sketchbook or wears your sketchbook. And taking art classes, film classes, after-school classes, like Saturday Academy and other programs. Mm-hmm. Just always drawing, just always trying to learn, not being self-motivated, self-directed learning, reading books and learning everything I can about animation.
And you also went to college.
Yeah, I went to Chapman University in Orange, California, and got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Digital Arts. And then with the emphasis on animation, and Chapman is pretty prestigious, pretty famous for its film school.
Yay!
And I made my senior thesis in 2D computer animation. And
that's the one that you're going to show us, your thesis, right?
Yeah.
What's the name of that again?
Love Boys.
Love Boys. And that's where we're going to see that also at the end of the program, right? So, how long have you been out of college at this point?
Let's see, it's been like about 2 years.
It's 2 years. And what has your journey been coming out of college up to this point?
Let's see, mostly freelancing work. Also trying to do some graphic design and other small jobs in the meantime.
What would you impart to children who are trying to follow your path? What would they do?
Let's see, I would always recommend that one of the most important things for you to be an animator is to be a drawer. And drawing is very crucial in the animation industry. Mm-hmm. And what people want to see is that you always are drawing and observing and learning and studying motion and colors and layout and all of that cool stuff.
Wow. So that field in animation is a very lucrative field, I'm told. What would be the pay range if, because I have this thing, I don't know where I got this from, but when I was in the last couple of years, I said, if I had kids, I would tell them, look at what kind of lifestyle you want, and then go get a job that will give you that lifestyle, okay? Keeping in that in terms of what your passions are. Also, they always have to be your passions. But animation in America is a pretty good, high-paying job. Potentially.
Yeah, potentially. Let's see. So, but I'm a freelancer right now, so the payments kind of can vary. People will pay you differently depending on your experience, or will pay you by project versus by hour. And also it's the budget of the company you're working for.
Yes.
Really dictates how much you can be paid.
Yes. You also can do storyboarding work, like for movies.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good. I didn't know that animators did that.
Yeah, storyboarding is a discipline that's very transferable to other jobs. It's important. It's helpful for live action and animation.
Wow. Because, there was a time when everything was done by hand. Everything. Now we've computer generated.
Yeah.
Speaking of computer generation, what kind of programs are you using to generate your art at this point?
At Toon Boom is the name of the software. One of the primary software I use, Toon Boom. It's called Toon Boom Harmony. And After Effects. Adobe. It's Adobe program used to do 2D computer animation.
Do you do 3D animation also?
Let's see. My strong suit is in 2D.
Is in 2D? Okay.
Yeah, but I've used other 3D software like Maya and 3ds Max that Disney and other studios use.
Wow. Wow. So, right here in Portland, there are some major studios for animation, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I saw something on PBS or something like that, and I watched the process and between doing models and moldings and actually the movements, of this, I want to say claymation or whatever. It was just fascinating to me, but everything came from a drawing. Everything was parsed out specifically of what was going to be done through that animation, and I was totally enthralled by it. I just kept watching. I was like, wow, I didn't know they did all that. Then when I found out you did an animation, I was like, that's great. So what is this book of Women of Walt Disney's Animation? How is the industry for animation for women, by the way?
Let's see. So, I got this book when I visited Culver City recently, and I got it signed by the author.
Oh.
And it's all about all of the women in animation, and particularly Disney. And there are a lot of women that have pioneered the film industry and that have been real pioneers, and that you don't really know about them by name, and you don't really hear about them, and people that are in the industry don't even know about a lot of these people that are in this book.
Right.
And so women have been animators, art directors, filmmakers, but just people don't know filmmakers, people don't know about them, and just the representation. People still think animation is dominated by men, but there was more women in my graduating class than men, and there's my animation ASIFA Club of Portland, the Animation Club of Portland of the international organization. ASIFA is mostly women, so.
But like when we go into gaming, which is a big avenue for animators, I thought I heard something about it being dominated by men. I don't know if that's actually playing of the games or the creating of the games, or the animation part of it. I'm not really sure, but I thought that the gaming industry was kind of dominated.
Yeah, I don't know the details about that. I was talking to my friend from Portland, the ASIFA Club, and he works for a local animation gaming studio, and he says there's women, and there's women in leadership roles.
Yay.
In local game studios.
Wow, I'm glad to hear that. Because there are so many people that are out there who are doing gaming, and I just think that it's just so interesting that the more the games are there, the more the anime is there. Like a lot of the movies that come out for animation, it's a big industry. I mean, one comes out, all the kids go. You bring your kids, you bring your grandkids, the whole 9 yards. It's a big business. And I definitely want to see women who are proliferating in those walks of life. So that's really good. So really quickly, how would you, or what would you say to the youngsters, both young men and women, of how to follow your footsteps if they want to be an animator?
Let's see. Yeah, I would always emphasize the point enough to always draw, have a sketchbook wherever you go to observe, because that's what people are looking for, that's what people expect, and that's how you get good. You don't really need, you can get pretty good without spending much money, and one of the little things that you can do is just get a sketchbook and you will improve.
Mm-hmm. David Kesters, welcome to the 518. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it is our pleasure, truly. So, I wanted to have you as my guest to talk about animation. You're an animator, and you're doing some cartoons, some drawings, and you're out there in the world. And I thought that I would expose you to our guest, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you got started into animation. How did you get started in animation?
Well, for me, it was just I wanted to try something I've not done before. I wanted to be able to tell a story that I guess with animation you can do whatever you want. You don't need to have expensive sets. You don't need to have actors. You just whatever you can create from nothing, and you can do and go everywhere, go anywhere you want. So for me, I wanted to make a story where the one I did was my first cartoon was a scientist who goes back in time, and hijinks and things like that happen. And it was part of an anthology DVD that some friends were making years ago. And I thought, I want to be a part of this. What can I do? Let's learn how to make a cartoon, because now's the time. I have an opportunity. And it was a process, a long learning process, and a lot of stuff I didn't know, that's for sure.
Did you ever get any formal education, or is this all self-taught, or?
It's pretty much self-taught. That's one thing I learned. I did go to art school not too long ago with the idea of going to become an animator, but what I learned quickly was that they don't really teach you. It's like what if you really want to do it, you got to do it. That's the only way you're going to learn.
With anything, really.
Yeah, and I thought there was some magic bullet. Like, all right, this is taking so long. How there's got to be some trick, but there really isn't. You sit down, you draw the pictures, you draw your frames, you do in-betweening or whatever it is you're doing. You just got to do it. There isn't really a shortcut unless you have $1 million and you can send it to Korea for them to do it for you.
So I looked at some of the animation out there and some of the career paths that some of the people take in terms of becoming a professional animator. But you were able to get your work out, which we'll be showing to our audience a little bit later. You were able to get some of your work out just on being self-taught and true grit of sitting down and actually getting the work, which it's admirable, really. And I thought that was really interesting. Now, how long does a piece take? Like a 3-minute piece or a half-hour piece, how long does it take to do a cartoon like that or anime like that?
Jeez, it really depends on the quality and the story. A lot of stuff, when you think about things, like when you think about how you want something to look, then you start going, wow, this is going to have, so many characters. It's probably like a film. Like when you're writing a story, you realize I just wrote myself into a really expensive shoot because I put a setting, I put in all these actors, I have all these, costumes, wardrobe. Granted, with animation, it's a lot. You don't have to worry about the expenses of all those things, but when you get down to it, though, every movement has to be made. So every layer that you do is going to do that. So if you just have like a close-up of a guy talking, let's say, that's a lot easier, or someone walking, that's a lot easier than having a crowd where everyone's doing their thing and all these different movements. So it's very time-consuming based on what you're doing. But also it can be really powerful, to actually have this, to do all the little things, all the little details, and have it actually turn out how you want it to, which in my case never does.
It never. But you've been happy enough to present it, even though you have to go plan A, plan B on your storyboards. You have been happy enough to tell the entire story of what you started out with, that you have gotten out there to the public.
I think with anyone who does creative stuff, without a deadline, a lot of stuff doesn't happen. And if you look at my computer, I have just, gigs and gigs of unfinished projects, all these things I've started, and I'll look at them like a year later and go, man, this isn't so bad. Why didn't I do something with this?
Are you using any particular type of programs, software programs, to get your animation out?
I mainly work with Photoshop and After Effects for what I do. I know a lot of people, like, if I was more talented, I would actually hand draw it and then clean it up and do the actual process of, you take the sketches and you draw refine them and color them and all that stuff. For me, I mean, that's every step is just more work for anyone as they can, with this whole thing. But for me, I do a lot of my drawing just directly onto Photoshop, and then I'll do the animating with the tricks and tools that programs like After Effects allow, and Toon Boom is another one. There's a lot of different things, and what's great about animating, and you don't need, I'm naming programs that cost money, but there are ways where you don't have to do those things. I've done stop action where basically all you need is a camera and move something around. You cut something out, and that, so there's ways to do it without having to have a budget of software programs to back you up.
So what would you tell if there were people who wanted to follow in your footsteps? What would you impart to our audience, be it kids or adults or teenagers who are looking for a path to go, who are interested in animation, interested in anime, in cartoons or what have you? What would your advice to them be?
What's nice, like when I work with kids and seeing the work they do, is they don't have that layer of doubt. You know, I don't know if they don't realize that, like as an adult, you get to a level and you're like, man, I'm never gonna be as good as this, but you got to accept that. But as a kid, you don't know any better, and it's a discovery and learning. So if you can get rid of that, go back to, you know, what it's like to be a kid and just do it. As I learned long ago, no matter what you do, there's always going to be someone who's much better at it than you are. So you just got to not care and do it. And when you do a project, you do it, you look at it and you go, all right, this could be a lot better, but I got to move on. There's always something new to create. There's always something, you know, some other story to tell. Mm-hmm. And at some point you got to draw the line and say, I'm done with this. I'm going to do something else. That's a thing with a show, South Park does that, where they're like, all right, our show's done, our deadline, we're moving on, don't look back. That's the way to do it.
Not waving, but drowning. Rising sea levels will take with them the evidence we ever existed. Right now, predicting the future is a dismal business. In the long view, scientists say prospects are not good for Earth, not at land or sea, not for humanity or the things we've built. The latest evidence for likelihood of a dire future comes in a study published in the PLOS One this week. A team of researchers led by the University of Tennessee examined the predicted effects of rising waters caused by global warming on 9 U.S. states, and estimates that the phenomenon that will slowly displace millions of people in coastal regions and take with them thousands of archaeological sites, historic buildings, cemeteries, monuments, and more. Based on a wide range of data from the Digital Index of North American Archaeologically and geographic and temporal scales, the researchers predict that little trace of the region's treasured and protected cultural sites will remain as the waters rise. Just a 1 meter, 3 foot rise in water levels will destroy 13,000 archaeological sites in the southeast U.S. and about 1,000 historically important sites eligible for inclusion on the National Register of Historic Places, NRHP. The scientists say that's likely to happen in the next century, in the next 100 years. The damage and loss rises incrementally with sea levels, which are predicted to occur in the centuries following. As a 5-meter rise in ocean levels, 32,000 archaeological sites will be lost forever, along with 2,400 NRHP locations. Unfortunately, that's likely the lower level of the estimate. DINAA, a large-scale effort to collate historical site information from many institutions, gave the researchers pretty good information to work with, but the data set is still imprecise and likely undercounts the total number of sites in range of the predicted deluge. Many more unrecorded archaeological and historic sites will also be lost as large areas of the landscape are flooded, according to the study. The big picture, it's not pretty. Rising seas will destroy much of the record of human habitation of the coastal region in the southeast within the next century or 2 centuries, the study concludes. Of course, as the researchers warn, this analysis of potential destruction in the southeastern U.S. is just a small snapshot of the global cultural devastation to come if climate change continues apace or worsens. Not only will it destroy the East Coast, but large tracts of America's East Coast heritage are at risk from being wiped out by that sea level rise, with the rising ocean set to threaten more than 13,000 archaeological and historic sites, according to the new research. Even a modest increase in sea level will imperil much of the southeast U.S. heritage by the end of the century, the researchers found, with 13,000 sites threatened by 1 meter increases. Thousands more areas will be threatened as the seas continue to rise and climb into the years beyond, forcing the potential relocation of the White House and Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and inundation of historical touchstones such as the Kennedy Space Center and St. Augustine, Florida, which lays claim to being the oldest city in the U.S. There are going to be a lot of cultural sites lost, and the record of humanity's history will be put at risk. That's a quote from David Anderson, a University of Tennessee anthropologist who led the published research. Some sites will be destroyed, we might as well face that, and buried in marshes. We may be able to relocate some. In some places it will be devastating. We need to properly understand the magnitude of this, and we need to understand that now to be prepared. Threatened areas, including locations on the National Register of Historic Places, include Native American sites that date back more than 10,000 years, as well as early colonial settlements such as Jamestown, Virginia, and Charleston, South Carolina. Researchers pinpointed known sites using topographical data and analyzed how much they would fare in various sea level rise scenarios. Florida, which has a southern portion particularly vulnerable to sea level rise, has the most sites in danger from a 1 meter rise of the oceans, followed by Louisiana and Virginia. A 1 meter sea level rise by 2100 could prove optimistic, with several studies showing the increase could be much greater. Scientists have warned that the breakup of the Antarctic ice sheet could significantly fuel sea level rises, pushing the global increase to around 6 feet by 2100. The latest U.S. government estimate predicts a worldwide increase of 1 foot to 4 feet by 2100, although an 8-foot rise cannot be ruled out. The eastern seaboard of the United States is at particular risk, with water piling up along the coast in greater volumes than the global average. The problem is compounded by areas of the coast, such as in New Jersey and Virginia, gradually subsiding due to long-term geological hangover from a vast ice sheet that once covered much of North America. Looks like we're returning to the roots. Sea level rise is expected to displace millions of people from the U.S. coast over the next coming decades, and with Anderson's warning that this will create further damage to heritage sites as people move inland. There is still some uncertainty over the exact time scale involved in the changes. It may take several hundred years for some coastal places to be at risk, leading to hopes that coastlines could be adapted in time in order to protect vital infrastructure and sacred sites, but losses appear inevitable. Putting a seawall around the whole of the United States won't be an easy thing to do and could cause a lot of damage elsewhere. That is a quote from Anderson. We're going to have to do a lot of planning as a civilization in the next 50 to 100 years, and we have to take heritage into account. Coastal heritage has been lost by previous fluctuations in sea level rise, and Harold Wanless, a coastal geologist at the University of Miami who wasn't involved in this study, said that the tough decisions will need to be made as to what to protect in the future. We will have to take a look at how much effort we expend saving these sites over more practical things, such as critical infrastructure or developing new agricultural resources. Our human history is important, but there are a lot of new things to focus on. They will all need time and effort. Human-driven climate change is already creating its own historical artifacts, and with around a dozen towns in Alaska set to abandon or be relocated due to rising sea levels and diminishing sea ice. In Louisiana, a community near New Orleans received federal funding last year to relocate because much of their low-lying land has disappeared. It's going to be an important choice for government, said Rob Thieler, a sea level rise expert at the U.S. Geological Survey. There's land that is becoming uninhabitable right now, and we've seen from the hurricanes this year that people have to leave not just from the flooding, but because the infrastructure and services become unreliable. This is something for us to think about. This is happening to us now. We might not want to buy that piece of Florida property to retire on. You might want to look a little bit more inland. But this is what's happening, and I wanted to bring that to your attention. I did find this to be one of the most important stories from the internet, and I wanted to bring it to you. I'm sure you're already aware of it, but just in case you aren't, there it is in black and white.
Believe your mind and anything can happen. Open up your heart, feel life's passion. Passion don't need to drink from a new fountain. Passion just needs to climb a few hills. Passion don't need to climb any mountains, rich or poor. Passion don't require dollar bills. Touching space, touching time. Visions of people, places, each one put to mind. Seeing your past, you know it's not quite plumb, but you can make a choice. You can call this chapter water, because passion don't need a drink from a new fountain. Passion just needs to climb a few hills. Passion don't need to climb any mountains, rich or poor. Passion don't require dollar bills. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, each one matters. Remember your life, each rung hung on that ladder. You know it's not quite plumb. You can make a choice. You can call this chapter water, 'cause passion don't need a drink from a new fountain. Passion just needs to climb a few hills. Passion don't need to climb any mountains, rich or poor. Passion don't require dollar bills. Rich or poor, passion don't require dollar bills, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rich or poor, passion don't require dollar bills.
I went to the museum and discovered an exhibition that was sponsored by the Petrucci Family Foundation, an exhibit collection called Constructing Identity, with African American artists such as Laura Wheeler Waring, Charles Say Lee, and Beulah Ecton Woodward, to name a few. The picture here is of Laura Wheeler Waring. This is Laura depicted from the cover of the April 1923 edition of the Amsterdam News for her art genius. They say Hollywood is where America invents itself. These artists have captured their time capsule reality through art. This is Laura Wheeler Waring's After Sunday Service. Waring was among the artists displayed in the country's first exhibition of African American artists, held in 1927 by the William E. Harmon Foundation. This is Alma Thomas, painted by Laura Wheeler in 1945. The bright colors, the expression, the detail, it's all magnificent. Laura was a true artist, and I didn't know about her until I went to the museum. This is another picture that's attributed to Laura Wheeler, comparable to anything that you'd see in any of the state-of-the-art museums. This is Laura's self-portrait. as a young child. I absolutely adore this. And Anna Washington Derry, also painted by Laura Wheeler. The details, the colors, the magnificence of it all. I am totally enthralled with her work. This was called Eye Contact by Laura Wheeler Waring, the painting that she did overseas. Again, the expression, the detail, the color, the genius of it all. She was commissioned by the Harmon Foundation to do portraits of prominent African Americans and chose some associated with the Harlem Renaissance. These portraits currently today hang in the Smithsonian and in other American institutes, including the Krikorian Gallery in Washington, D.C., the Brooklyn Museum, and the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And now we'll turn to Beulah Woodard, an artist both through paint and sculpture in paper mache. This particular piece is by Beulah Ecton Woodard. This is called Maudel. I did see that at the Portland Art Museum. Totally enthralled with this piece. This is Charles C. Lee. This is Charles C. Lee's portrait of a young boy. Absolutely wonderful. The salesgirls in pink. These were people who lived during his lifetime, and I wanted to bring all of this to you to show you. This is an untitled piece, but the magnificence of it all, the genius, the art genius of it all. To me, it's gorgeous. And as we talk about constructing identity, it is through our artwork that we leave behind that other cultures get to know us. The African American culture is everywhere.
Now let me think. Did it always used to be this way? I mean, our minds have always been like clay, but what's left when the originality fades? And what's worse, to be an outcast or a slave? And how does a flower grow with no sun and only shade? And I question those who don't oppose and just obey, who like a dog sit, stand, and lay, even shit when they say, but you would too, if all you knew was concrete, and your dreams became obsolete while your mind became weak, where your voice fell on deaf ears, so what the hell should I speak? Where your creativity was neglected, so what the hell should I think? Well, you ain't the only one with frustration. You ain't the only one promised change, still waiting. The only one laying face down on the pavement, where cops get away with murder and then blame it on mistaking his hoodie as a sign of aggressive behavior. The labels, the stereotypes that degrade you, in place to point the finger steady at them at your neighbor. Being hypnotized by the glitter and blindsided by the gleam, but the grass ain't always as green on the other side as it seems. Would you dare to leave the cave if that meant sacrificing things? Living vicariously through fantasies. But would you ever dare to dream?
Are you hungry?
Excuse me?
Are you hungry? Can I buy you lunch?
You didn't just ask me that.
Just trying to be helpful. Thought you might need something to eat.
Oh, you mean because I'm black and in a wheelchair you think I'm homeless?
I don't think anything, but you are watching me.
No, I'm not hungry.
Okay, so you're not homeless and you don't need anything to eat. Glad we sorted that out. What?
Nothing. Just enjoying the sunshine.
And I'm trying to enjoy my lunch.
Oh, I can see that. Just enjoying your lunch on a fine sunny day.
Okay, what is it? You get off watching women eat lunch?
Well, we all gotta eat, right? We all know what we like, don't like. Some people are out there passionate about what they will or won't eat.
Here's a 10. Get whatever you like and take it over to the park blocks.
So you do think I'm hungry and homeless?
No, I don't. We established you're not.
I had a big breakfast today. That pancake place on Southeast Powell, you know the one. Been there for years. Short stack, like sausage, couple of eggs. I like them over easy.
I don't care.
I know. That's okay. It was even air conditioned. I remember when we didn't need air conditioning in Portland. Oh, the good old days. When it really was cool in the PDX.
Do you mind terribly if you just go away?
I will. In a minute. Free country. Well, not so much as that last election. That's the Greek Euro, right? There's a guy on the corner, he does a nice job. And the one on the other side of the block? Is that the lamb and the beef lamb mix?
Okay, look, what is this about? I mean, seriously, what can I do for you?
Yesterday, you had the one on the other side of the block. Today, this one.
Well, that's not creepy or anything. At all. What do you want?
Just the pleasure of your company.
Interesting. So you do get off watching women eat lunch. Must be my lucky day and you're my stalker.
Oh, hell no, it ain't your lucky day, and I'm not your first stalker, and this isn't your first trial, is it?
Who are you?
Just a black man trying to make a difference in the world. You don't recognize me, do you?
Sorry, I don't.
I know who you are, and what case you're working on. We need to talk about it.
Let me share something with you. You see that police officer over there? He's assigned to me.
He had the shrimp noodle bowl yesterday. The day before, he packed his lunch and ate it at his desk because you didn't want food truck lunch.
I can't have this conversation.
Now, what's really bugging me though is why a trial attorney needs a security detail at lunch. You must be really important. Or maybe you don't play so nice with others. I'm Jason.
Jason, such a lovely day. Please don't ruin my lunch. What do you want?
Your help. Simple request. But first, question is, what do you want? Do you want to give up meat, save the atmosphere, get rid of your car, ride your bike to work? But you walk every day, right?
And you know where I live, don't you?
Or maybe you want to quit your job. Maybe you care deeply, but another innocent black man rots in jail wrongly convicted by an all-white jury of his peers.
All I have to do is wave.
Maybe all you care about is winning.
I want to serve justice.
I want to serve ice cream. But is that the right thing to do? Maybe frozen coconut yogurt is the right thing to do.
Justice is the right thing.
Unless the wrong man is on trial.
And you think we have the wrong man.
You know he is.
And I should believe you because?
Because you know what the truth is.
Look, why don't you just wheel on out of here and I can finish my lunch and we can pretend this creepy conversation never happened. So if you'll excuse me, that's what I'd like to do. And grab some rays before the rainy season hits.
Headline: Police kill innocent man while serving warrant. Headline: SWAT team hits the wrong house.
I know that the jury system isn't perfect, but it's what we have.
Headline: Father of 4 killed by police during traffic stop. Headline: Police officer acquitted in wrongful death suit. Headline:
I know, I get it.
Do you? Truth, justice,
What
and the American
do you
way.
want from
I'll
me?
tell you. Miss Stephanie, Miss Maverick, attorney at law, working to right the wrongs of this black community, making a difference in the world. You work for the mayor. I mean, you're his attorney. Isn't that right?
I work in City Hall, yes, but no, I don't work for the mayor. He works for me. He works for you. You pay taxes, right? Your taxes, my taxes, pay his salary. He works for all of us.
Headline: 8-year-old shot by police.
Okay, now you're really annoying me. All I have to do is give the nice officer the secret hand signal, and he'll be on your ass so fast you'll wish you had the Speedy Deluxe electric chair with the recharging solar power pack.
No, he won't. He's waiting for a hand signal from me to that sniper up that tower to your left. He's ready to take your ass out. Nice white lady, Stanford Law. Nice cushy court job. 10th floor garden deck. Go ahead, wave to him. I was there last week. That reception for the mayor. His birthday, wasn't it?
Like I said, that's not creepy at all.
Good. Creepy is good. Creepy don't bother me a bit.
Well, it bothers me, so if you don't mind.
Sit down. Please. It would be best. Your security detail over there, he's married to my sister. She works for you. Sorry. I mean for us. We the people. A real Angela Davis II, that one. Got a mouth on her. Woo-wee, big mouth. And more fed up than I am, taking things into her own hands. But you know all about that. Seeking that sweet justice for the people. Tell me, do you enjoy obstructing it?
I'm not going to get back from lunch on time, am I?
You love being in control. A few misplaced reports, and cops get the wrong guy. But you know all about suppressed evidence. Woo-wee. Loose lips on her. My sister. Almost as much as mine. So when I give him the secret wave, he'll give the guy on the deck up there the secret wave. And poof! The end of the attorney, end of the trial of the wrong guy.
What do you want me to do?
That first impulse you had to reach out, offer food, sustenance, trust your conscience, the right thing.
And in your opinion, the right thing is?
Take this thumb drive and drop it off in the mayor's inbox and let him know the TV station got theirs half an hour ago. And then meet me over at Sonia's noodle truck. I hear they got some fire noodles and I'm hungry. And bring that tin. They only take cash. Then we'll head over to the park blocks and I can enjoy my lunch.
And I'm going to do this because...
I'm here to help you.
Oh, threatening me, that's very helpful.
Still with the sarcasm, you don't get it.
Oh, I get it.
Do you? You know all about white privilege here in America the Beautiful? What it's like for the rest of us? Racism, the R word, kind of like the N word. You don't mean to spread it around. Make the right decision. Do the right thing.
or you're gonna have me shot.
No. Not today. The cover's blown down. We prefer surprises, like it is for the rest of us. Every day. Every time we get pulled over or an innocent gets arrested in the city and you prosecute the wrong guy. No, not today. Take a look up there. No one there at all. Then again, maybe there is. Scary black man hiding in the shadows. You never really know. Boom!
Young nigga with an old soul, trying to balance my life, get things right. Will I make it? Only Lord knows. Cause dreams die quicker than an iPhone, and kids die quicker than their parents do. By the age of 14, they prepared to shoot. Niggas taking that leap with no parachute. For a pair of shoes, they can wear the hoop in. Loose ends in the north side, rich kids sitting courtside. Never had that, trapped in a maze, felt caged like a lab rat. Trade the ball for a blunt, nigga, pass that. Go up on a bottle, let me tap that. Nigga, pass that. No plans for tomorrow, we ain't get to map that. Hurt hearts, but we match that. Role models never had that. Let's see gang bang a bad crack. Pimp hoes or rap tracks. Glass ceilings, we ain't never seen a nigga crack that, so we really passed that. My nigga, that's a sad fact. Trying to stay calm in the storm without robbing the store. We starving, but food stamps don't fall on that car to the fourth. Far from the fours. Can't wait till the day that we ball in that Porsche. Instead of breaking them laws in the courts, mama's brought out on the floor. Cause them charges more than she could imagine. Imagine it's you in them prison walls and all you got is the Lord. Lord save us. Promise you we trying to change our ways. Broken hearts full of anger. And every single day we gotta face this pain. Every single day we gotta face this pain.